Rock nervously adjusted his crystalline structure as he floated into the grand lecture hall of the Galactic Academy. The massive dome-shaped room could hold thousands of students from across the galaxy, each adapted to their own specific environmental needs. Some floated in bubbles of special gas, others stayed in temperature-controlled pods, and a few existed as pure energy forms contained in special fields. Professor Green, a plant-based being who communicated through changing colors and releasing spores, stood at the center of the hall. His leaves turned a bright shade of yellow-orange, indicating excitement about today's announcement. The professor's teaching pod released a mix of spores that formed words in the air. Today, we begin our most challenging assignment of the year. Rock settled next to his project partners. Mist, who existed as a swirling purple cloud inside a containment field, and Blue, who moved through a tube of pressurized water. They had become friends despite their vastly different biology, though most species preferred to stick with their own kind. For your final research project, the professor's spores spelled out, each team will study a primitive world and its dominant species. Your findings will contribute to the galactic database of developing planets. The hall buzzed with excitement. Most teams would get nice, safe worlds with simple life forms, maybe some floating gas bags on low-gravity planets or basic crystal beings on frozen worlds. Rock hoped for an easy assignment too. Professor Green's next announcement made his crystalline structure vibrate with shock. Team 42, Rock, Mist, and Blue, you will study Earth. A wave of gasps filled the room. Even students who absorbed sound waves instead of hearing them showed signs of surprise. Earth was infamous in the galaxy, labeled as a Deathworld, a planet so hostile that it shouldn't support advanced life. But Professor Blue bubbled through his water translator. Earth has extreme conditions. The gravity is crushing, the temperature swings are wild, and the atmosphere is highly corrosive. Mist swirled anxiously in their containment field. I heard they have huge bodies of dihydrogen monoxide covering most of the surface. That stuff can dissolve almost anything. Rock tried to process the assignment. His own world was a peaceful place with low gravity, constant temperature, and no dangerous chemicals. How could anything survive on a planet that had everything from freezing ice to burning deserts? Professor Green's colors shifted to a calm blue. That's exactly why you three were chosen. Your different perspectives will help understand how life adapts to such harsh conditions. Remember, somehow primitive humans survived there without even having proper environmental suits or gravity controls. The professor shared more details through his spore display. Earth had shocking statistics. Oxygen levels that would rust most metals, atmospheric pressure that would crush standard spacesuits, and radiation from its sun that would fry sensitive equipment. Your team has 3 months to study Earth and its humans, the professor concluded. You'll observe from orbit first, then decide if closer study is safe. Remember, no direct contact with humans. They don't know about galactic civilization yet. After class, the 3 friends gathered in their study pod. Rock brought up a hologram of Earth, spinning slowly to show its chaotic surface. Look at all that blue, Blue said, fascinated by the oceans, but it's not nice calm water like my home. They have something called waves that throw water around. Mist expanded thoughtfully. And those green and brown patches, solid ground with things growing on it, plants that stay fixed in place instead of floating free. Rock studied the planet's core data. The gravity is 3 times stronger than my home world. How do humans even move around without breaking? They spent hours reviewing Earth's basic data, each discovery more shocking than the last. Humans needed to eat other life forms to survive. They spent a third of their time unconscious in something called sleep. Their bodies were full of corrosive chemicals and bacteria. They could break easily but somehow repair themselves. This is going to be the hardest project ever, Rock said finally. But think about it. If we can understand how life survives on a death world, we might learn something amazing. His friends agreed. Whatever they discovered about Earth would change their understanding of life itself. Their real adventure was about to begin. The orbital research station hung silently above Earth, its adaptive shields protecting it from the constant bombardment of radiation and space debris. Inside, Rock, Mist, and Blue huddled around their observation equipment, each protected in their specialized environmental chambers. Another lightning strike, Blue announced, their water rippling with excitement. The screen showed massive electrical discharges lighting up Earth's night side. That's the 15th one in this area. How does anything survive these energy blasts? Rock carefully adjusted their scanning equipment. Their crystalline forms sparkled under the station's soft lights as they worked. The strangest part is that humans just live with it. They don't even have energy shields. They just build tall metal rods to direct the lightning away. Mist swirled thoughtfully in their containment field. Speaking of living with things, look at this footage from their information network. The screen switched to show humans swimming in an ocean. They willingly enter dihydrogen monoxide for fun. On my world, that compound would dissolve anyone instantly. The team had spent 2 weeks observing Earth from orbit, and each day brought new surprises. They watched humans climb frozen mountains without gravity assists, dive into deep waters without pressure suits, and build homes in places that regularly experience earthquakes. Look at this data about their muscles and bones, Rock said, bringing up a biological scan. The crushing gravity should make movement impossible, but instead it makes them stronger. They actually get weaker if they spend too long in low gravity. Blue's water churned anxiously, and their temperature tolerance. They can survive in ranges that would freeze or boil most species. Some of them even sit in small hot water pools for relaxation. Don't forget their protection methods, Mist added, expanding slightly in amazement. Instead of force fields, they wear thin layers of processed plant and animal fibers. During dangerous activities, they might add a layer of processed rock or metal, but that's it. The screens around them displayed more incredible scenes. Humans running for hours under their scorching sun, diving into snowbanks for entertainment, eating foods that would be toxic to most species, and healing from injuries that would be fatal to others. Professor Green was right, Rock said, adjusting their crystal structure nervously. We can't understand Earth life just by watching from orbit. We need to go down there. Mist condensed slightly, showing concern. The Academy guidelines strongly suggest against close observation of primitive worlds, especially Deathworlds. But that's just it. Blue bubbled excitedly. We keep calling it a Deathworld, but millions of species thrive there. Maybe we're looking at it wrong. Maybe we need to see it up close to understand. They spent hours planning their surface expedition. Their environmental suits would need significant upgrades to handle Earth conditions. Rock required extra structural support against the gravity. Mist needed a stronger containment field to prevent the wind from dispersing them. Blue's water chamber needed reinforcement against temperature changes. Tomorrow then, Rock asked, their crystalline surface reflecting the blue light of Earth below. We'll land in this area they call a forest. Lots of cover, fewer humans around. Mist and Blue agreed, though their movements showed a mixture of excitement and fear. None of them said what they were all thinking. If anything went wrong on the surface, their bodies weren't made to survive Earth's conditions even for a few moments. As they made final preparations, a human video played on one of their screens. It showed small humans, what they called children, playing in a rainstorm, laughing as water fell from the sky. Perhaps Earth wasn't a death world after all. Perhaps it was something else entirely. A world that turned survival into strength, harsh conditions into opportunities, and danger into joy. The landing pod pierced through Earth's atmosphere, its shields glowing orange from the friction. Inside, 3 environmental chambers hummed with backup power as Rock, Mist, and Blue experienced their first taste of Earth's gravity. Rock felt their crystalline structure strain against the increasing pressure. Even with the pod's gravity dampeners at maximum, the pull was stronger than anything they had experienced. Their support frame creaked ominously. Containment field at 70%. Mist's cloudy form compressed into a tight ball as the atmospheric pressure increased. The air outside is so thick, it's like swimming through soup. Blue's water chamber rattled as they descended. Temperature rising. My cooling systems are working harder than they ever have before. Their liquid form sloshed violently despite the stabilizers. The pod's computer announced their descent milestones in a calm voice. 20 kilometers to surface. Warning. Detecting multiple weather systems. Warning. Atmospheric oxygen levels exceeding safety parameters. Warning. Biological signatures detected in landing zone. Too late to turn back now, Rock said, their voice vibrating with the pod's shaking. The screen showed their landing zone, a small clearing in a forest during Earth's night cycle. The landing wasn't smooth. Earth's gravity fought them the whole way down. When they finally touched ground, the impact made Rock's crystals chime together like bells. Mist swirled dizzyingly in their chamber, and Blue's water took several minutes to settle. Equipment check, Rock commanded, trying to sound calmer than they felt. Their suits had to work perfectly. One failure would be fatal. Mist tested their enhanced containment field. My suit's holding, but I can feel the pressure trying to crush me. And there's so much movement in the air. Winds, temperature changes, something called humidity. At least the gravity stabilizers are working, Blue reported, though their voice wavered. But these temperature swings are crazy. It's cooling down now, but the computer says it will get much hotter when their sun rises. Rock took their first step onto Earth's surface. Even through the suit's support system, the gravity pulled at them like a giant magnet. Their crystalline legs creaked with each movement. It's like walking through thick liquid, but solid somehow. They activated their camouflage fields and moved to the edge of the clearing. The forest around them was alien and terrifying. Huge plants called trees rose up like towers, swaying in winds strong enough to tear apart cities on their home worlds. Small creatures scurried through undergrowth, each one somehow surviving in this harsh environment. Look at the soil samples, Mist said, their sensors extending from their containment field. It's full of microscopic life forms, billions of them, all breaking down and rebuilding matter. On my world, we consider 1 bacterium per cubic meter to be a contamination risk. Blue's sensors were focused on the air. The oxygen levels here would cause instant combustion back home. But somehow, Earth life uses it for energy. They breathe it. A distant sound made them all freeze. Something large was moving through the forest. Their sensors picked up a massive heat signature, an Earth creature called a bear. It moved with surprising grace for its size, completely at home in the crushing gravity and oxygen-rich air. "We should move," Rock whispered, though the bear was still far away. "Remember the videos we watched? Those things can run faster than our suits can move, and they're strong enough to break our protective shells." As they carefully made their way deeper into the forest, each step was a reminder that they were visitors on a world that played by different rules. Their advanced technology barely let them survive in conditions that Earth's life forms considered normal. And this was just the beginning of their surface expedition. The morning sun filtered through Earth's thick atmosphere as the 3 aliens observed a dirt path that their scans identified as a hiking trail. Rock's crystalline structure sparkled in the sunlight despite their camouflage field, forcing them to stay in the shadows of the massive trees. Mist hovered anxiously in their containment field. 2 humans approaching, adult and child. According to our biological scans, the aliens quickly activated their recording equipment, eager to observe humans in their natural habitat. The humans walked along the trail, the larger one pointing out various plants and animals to the smaller one. Blue's sensors picked up their voices, the translator working to decode their simple conversations about nature and safety. "Such inefficient movement," Rock noted, watching the humans' legs work against Earth's gravity. All that biological energy spent just to stay upright and moving. The small human ran ahead, bouncing with what their sensors identified as excitement. The adult called out something about being careful, but the child had already moved closer to the river's edge. The alien sensors immediately registered the danger. The bank was unstable, weakened by recent rains. What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. The ground under the child's feet crumbled. Their sensors recorded the exact moment. 0.3 seconds of soil failure, followed by the child's descent into the rushing water below. Water temperature 12.4 degrees Celsius. Current speed 15 kilometers per hour. Blue reported automatically, their scientific training kicking in even as they watched in horror. Survivability for that mass and body temperature. Before Blue could finish their calculation, the adult human did something that made all three alien sensor arrays flash with emergency warnings. Without any protective gear, without any safety equipment, without even a moment's hesitation, the adult jumped straight into the dangerous water. Impossible. Mist's form swirled chaotically. The water current exceeds safe parameters. The temperature alone should trigger survival instincts. Why would it purposely enter a fatal situation? They watched, recordings running at maximum capacity, as the adult human fought against the current. Their sensors tracked vital signs: elevated heart rate, stress hormones flooding the human system, muscles working at peak efficiency. The adult reached the child in 4.2 seconds, grabbed them, and began fighting the current to reach the shore. Their body structure, Rock observed with growing amazement. It's actually adapting to the emergency. Increased blood flow, muscle oxygen usage optimizing in real time, neural responses accelerating. The humans finally reached the riverbank, both coughing and shivering but very much alive. The adult checked the child for injuries, and soon both were actually making sounds that the aliens' translators identified as laughter. They're celebrating survival, Blue said incredulously. Not just surviving, they're treating it as a positive experience. The three friends watched in stunned silence as the humans wrung water from their clothes and continued their walk, now telling each other something the translators interpreted as jokes about the incident. Everything we know about survival instincts is wrong, Mist finally said. No species should willingly risk death to save another. The logical response would be to preserve oneself and produce new offspring. Maybe that's why they've survived this death world, Rock replied softly. They don't just survive. They protect each other. They fight the planet's conditions not just for themselves, but for others. As the humans disappeared down the trail, the aliens remained hidden, their databanks full of new information that would change their understanding not just of Earth, but of what it meant to be truly adapted to a world. The sun reached its peak in the sky as the alien research team moved to a new observation point. Their environmental suits were holding, but the constant strain of Earth's conditions kept their warning systems busy. Rock's crystalline structure had developed tiny stress fractures from the gravity. Mist's containment field hummed constantly against the atmospheric pressure. Blue's temperature regulators worked overtime in the summer heat. Through their camouflage, they watched a group of humans scaling a vertical rock face. Their sensors identified the activity as rock climbing, though the name seemed absurdly simple for such a dangerous pursuit. More safety violations, Mist noted, scanning the humans' minimal equipment. Just thin ropes and small metal attachments between them and a fatal fall. No anti-gravity, no force fields, no emergency teleporters. A human yelled encouragement to another who was struggling to find a handhold. The climbers' muscles strained, sweat pouring down their skin, heart rate elevated, and yet their brain scans showed excitement rather than fear. They're releasing pleasure chemicals, Blue reported, adjusting their sensors to be sure. The harder they push themselves, the more their bodies reward them. It's backward from every survival pattern we know. The aliens moved their observation point to a nearby lake. Here, humans dove into deep water, paddled small boats against the current, and lay directly under the radiation of their sun. Some humans had brought smaller humans, their offspring, to learn these dangerous skills. Teaching their young to ignore survival instincts, Rock said, but their tone had changed from shock to something like admiration. No, not ignore. Master them. Look at how they're teaching proper techniques, showing safe ways to take risks. A thunderstorm approached, sending most humans running for shelter. But their sensors picked up other humans nearby, wearing special gear and moving toward the developing storm. The aliens followed at a safe distance. Storm chasers, mist-read from their database, humans who study dangerous weather phenomena up close. Their vehicles have no shields, no atmospheric barriers, just reinforced metal and glass. Lightning split the sky, and Rock's sensors detected something remarkable. The humans' adrenaline levels are spiking, but their movements are becoming more precise, not less. They're using the fear to enhance their performance. The storm passed, and they observed humans emerging to help clean up damaged areas. Some humans checked on others they didn't even know, sharing food and supplies, working together to repair storm damage. It's all connected, Blue said suddenly. The gravity that should crush them makes their bones stronger. The temperature swings they survive make them adaptable. The dangers they face make them innovative. But most importantly, they face it all together. Rock's crystal structure hummed in agreement. Their harsh environment didn't just shape their bodies. It shaped their behavior. They learned that cooperating gives them better survival chances than competing. They turned simple survival into something more. They turned it into living. Mist added, their gaseous form swirling thoughtfully. Everything we thought made Earth a death world. The gravity, the weather, the atmospheric composition. It all worked together to create something extraordinary. The aliens watched as humans continued their activities. Children learning to swim, adults teaching survival skills, strangers helping strangers. Earth wasn't just a planet that life survived on. It was a forge that had created a species that thrived on overcoming challenges. Smoke particles triggered the aliens' atmospheric sensors first. Within minutes, their equipment detected a rapid temperature increase and the presence of spreading flames. A forest fire had started several kilometers away, driven by strong winds toward their position. "We need to evacuate," Rock said, their crystalline structure vibrating with urgency. "Fire converts everything into energy here. Our suits won't withstand those temperatures." The team began moving away from the fire's path, but their environmental suits slowed them down. Earth's gravity made every step a struggle for Rock. Mist's containment field fought against the growing wind and smoke. Blue's temperature regulators were already at maximum capacity. Then they heard the sirens. Their sensors detected multiple vehicles approaching at high speed, human emergency responders. But instead of fleeing the fire, the humans were driving straight toward it. "They're going the wrong way," Mist exclaimed, their gaseous form condensing with stress. "The fire will consume their vehicles. Their protective gear is completely inadequate for these conditions." Hidden by their camouflage, the aliens watched as firefighters poured out of their trucks. Their sensors analyzed the humans' equipment, simple insulated clothing, breathing apparatus that filtered smoke but offered no other protection, and tools that seemed primitive compared to galactic standards. "Their body temperatures are rising to dangerous levels," Blue reported, monitoring the biological readings. Heart rates elevated, stress hormones flooding their systems. They know the danger. They understand it. But they're still going in. The firefighters worked with surprising coordination. Some created fire breaks, some operated water hoses, others rescued trapped animals. When one firefighter stumbled from heat exhaustion, 2 others immediately moved to help, despite risking their own safety. "Look at their problem solving," Rock observed, their crystal structure reflecting the orange glow of the flames. "They're not trying to overpower the fire. They're outthinking it. Using the wind patterns, terrain features, and available resources." A group of firefighters rushed past the aliens' hidden position, carrying an injured deer to safety. Their sensors picked up the humans' conversations. Short, efficient communications mixed with words of encouragement and even jokes in the face of danger. Their neural patterns, Mist noted with amazement. The fear is there, but it's being channeled into focused action. They're using the emergency to become more efficient, more coordinated. Hours pass as the aliens watch the humans battle the fire. The firefighters worked through exhaustion, through pain, through moments when their equipment began to fail. When the wind shifted unexpectedly, they adapted. When their water supply ran low, they improvised. "I understand now," Blue said softly as they watched a team of humans celebrate saving a small structure from the flames. "This isn't just about survival anymore. They've turned their planet's harshness into a source of unity. What we call deadly conditions, they see as challenges to overcome together." The fire was finally contained. The aliens watched as tired firefighters helped each other back to their vehicles, checked on each other's injuries, shared water and food. Despite their exhaustion, despite their burns and bruises, the humans' bio-readings showed satisfaction, even joy. "Maybe we've been asking the wrong question," Rock said as they prepared to return to their landing pod. "Instead of asking why Earth is a death world, we should have asked how it created a species that turns death into life, fear into courage, and individual survival into collective triumph." The Grand Hall of the Galactic Academy fell silent as Rock, Mist, and Blue took their positions on the presentation platform. Their environmental chambers had been polished to perfection, though they still showed signs of wear from their Earth expedition. The data crystals containing their research glowed softly, ready to share their revolutionary findings. Professor Green's leaves turned a curious shade of purple as Rock began the presentation. "Honored colleagues, we stand before you to challenge everything we thought we knew about death worlds." The crystal being's voice resonated with confidence born from their experiences. The first hologram filled the hall, Earth's surface with its chaotic weather patterns and extreme conditions. "We classified Earth as a death world because its gravity crushes, its atmosphere corrodes, its temperature swings wildly, and its surface teems with microscopic life forms. But we were wrong." Mist expanded their gaseous form dramatically. "This is not a recording of a disaster." The hologram showed massive waves crashing against a shore. "This is where humans teach their young to swim. What we call destructive forces, they call opportunities for recreation." Gasps echoed through the hall as Blue projected their recordings of the forest fire rescue. These humans ran toward certain death, protected by nothing more than primitive insulation and filtered air supplies. But watch their coordination, their problem-solving, their unity. The presentation continued with their data about human adaptability. Rock showed how Earth's gravity built stronger bones and muscles. Mist demonstrated how humans used their planet's hostile weather to generate power. Blue explained how they turned deadly water into transportation routes and sports arenas. But the most remarkable discovery wasn't physical, Rock said, their crystal structure glowing with excitement. Earth's harsh conditions forced humans to develop something we never considered: collective survival strategies. The final hologram showed scenes of humans helping each other. The parents saving their child from the river, firefighters protecting their community, strangers offering aid after storms. They don't just endure their world's challenges, Mist explained. They use them to become stronger, smarter, more connected. Professor Green's colors shifted rapidly as the team presented their conclusion. "We propose a new classification," Blue announced. "Earth is not a death world. It is a crucible world, a planet that forges life into its strongest possible form through constant challenges." The hall erupted in discussion. Some scholars argued that the classification system couldn't be changed. Others were already proposing new research projects based on the team's findings. A group of xenobiologists eagerly debated how other harsh worlds might have shaped their own unique forms of life. Rock activated their final hologram, a simple image of human children playing in rain that would dissolve most galactic species. "We went to Earth expecting to study how life survives on a death world. Instead, we learned that what we call deadly conditions are actually the forge that created humanity's greatest strengths: their adaptability, their innovation, and most importantly, their unity." As the applause echoed through the hall, the three friends shared a moment of understanding. They had gone to Earth as observers but returned as something more: witnesses to the incredible truth that sometimes the harshest worlds create the strongest life, not despite their challenges, but because of them.